Hello and welcome to this panel discussion on MarTech Day. I'm thrilled to join you in conversation on the topic MarTech for 2025 and beyond, the next frontier of digital transformation. Today I'm joined by some esteemed speakers and MarTech thought leaders, Chirantan Sharma, Product Head of FNP, also known as Ferns and Petals, Dilpreet Singh, Head of Loyalty, CRM and Partnerships, ITC Hotels, and Antriksh Johari, MarTech Lead at Tata Digital. So I think before we get into the heavy conversations, I'd like to understand from all of you, and we can begin with Dilpreet, is that as a consumer, what is one MarTech innovation that you're really grateful for when you interact with any category, that has really made a difference in your life?
Thanks, Varun. So I believe before we move to the innovations, let's do some homework in terms of where we have kind of evolved from. So I believe when we have to kind of summarize this thing, so there would be ambition, adaptation, adoption, and then the advancement. Now, if you just go back maybe a kind of a 2 decade back, so CRMs were just a kind of a Excel sheet, and when we were talking about the loyalty, it was just a kind of I would say, a physical card which was there. Then we moved to a kind of the mobile apps and the email automation part which was there. And today, I would say it's a kind of a complete orchestration which has happened, and we are I would say operating in a world of hyper personalization. But despite that, we are living with abundance of tools, but still the silos needs to be broken. That is there. Now coming to your point in terms of the innovation, so again there have been a lot of innovation, but I think one of the biggest one which has really kind of I have kept it with me is, I would say, the real time context aware personalization. So I would say it is a kind of a invisible intelligence where if I just talk about, let's say, hospitality industries, let's suppose if you're having a kind of a platform which is recommending you a kind of a room upgrade, or maybe a something pertaining to your likes or dislikes in terms of I would say your F&B preferences, the food beverage preferences, or maybe the kind of room you are staying in. If the human intervention is not there and system is capable enough to kind of give those personalization to you in a very real time manner. So for me, I think that is something which has kind of changed the life of many people, starting from the brands to the guests and to the consumers who are there. So that's my take on that.
Fantastic. That's, I think, the holy grail, contextually real-time personalization. Antriksh, coming to you, how do you look at MarTech innovation changing the consumers' lives and your life in particular? What are you grateful
So
for?
when I started my career, I remember that the only personalization which was given to me, and I'm just continuing on what Dilpreet said, send an email to women in 20 to 25 to 20 to 35 age, and we were selling our one of the women account at that time. Uh, 10 years down the line in another bank, I was using 56 personalization attributes just to hone down my message to account opening value needed, to kind of offers which I can personalize to them, to kind of value which I can propagate to them. Not only that, if they open my account, I'll be able to tell the amount of saving which is associated with that respect particular individual. So that is the kind of power which I get with the MarTech Start today. Today, we don't talk about a marketing automation platform, as Dilpreet said, and most of my peers would agree to it. We talk about the CDPs, we talk about the ML engines which are integrated, and those EBTs or behavior, event-based behavior triggers which you map. MarTech today isn't just marketing automation software. It is a context of system of context where you flow all in your data, marry it, and give a personalized user experience. The other feature where I really see moving is the drop off journey, which has been critical to me. And unless MarTech, they were not solvable. But now I have a full control over it. So that is my 2 cents about it.
Absolutely. I think digital allows you to stay in touch with the customer long after that intent has been created, and the nudging is required to bring that customer back. Chirantan, coming to you, what's your take on a MarTech innovation that has been a godsend for you when interacting with any category?
So I can't agree more with Dilpreet and Antriksh. I think the one word is personalized recommendation. I think that's something which is really helping all the organizations. Like if I go back 4, 5 years back, one of the way I used to look at it was that my channels were not, connected, like SMS, email, WhatsApp. WhatsApp is like new, but still. So at that point of time, I used to think that this is the, good, great innovation that has happened. But if I talk about now, indeed, it's personalized recommendation. A lot of behind the scene work goes on. I mean, behavioral analysis of data, and then the recommendation finally comes up. And we are moving towards a proactive approach. That's what I will say. It is more of a, earlier it was push, now it is pull. So this is completely changing the game, is what I feel.
So, we launched a report last year on this day, MarTech Day, which spoke about some of the MarTech trailblazers who have adopted MarTech across the customer journey. And 48% of organizations in that survey were the MarTech trailblazers, right? And I believe all the panelists here belong to that category. So now that you have implemented MarTech across the customer journey, what is next for you? Is it discovering and experimenting with newer use cases? Is it rationalizing costs and streamlining your entire MarTech operational workflow? Or is it adding more capability and building more? What is next for you in terms of MarTech? So Chirantan, let's begin with you.
Yeah. So I think one other thing which is happening right now is that we have more tools than we can use. So the way I look at it is, and I'm kind of becoming slightly ruthless also on this point, that I want to remove all the redundancy, because there are so many tools. It's not only about collecting so much data, right? You have to use it properly in the context. So in a way, when I look at it, has MarTech peaked in 2025? I think it has kind of plateaued right now. So that's the direction I'm looking at right now. Just consolidating it, simplifying it, because the journeys are simplified. Of course, everybody's talking about AI, so that is already writing on the wall that this is going to come. Uh, but the integration capabilities, and having a simple single platform, which solves end to end, is what is required, I think.
Fantastic. Let me come back to you on that integration. So that's the what do you call priority number one, we would say. Antriksh, coming to you, is it the same scenario? Do you think the next step in MarTech is integration and simplifying the entire stack? Is it going to be otherwise generating more ROI, experimenting with new innovative use cases, or is it adding capability like an AI, like anything else to
So
the
see,
overall stack?
I have a very different view on this, and the point is that every organization is in a structurally different stage. When I'll go back to my past experiences, and their scalability was not a problem because the base was already small. The idea was to acquire more customer. To acquire more customer, I had to warm my email channel up, and to warm my email channel, I have to put my energy. I don't care whether my CDP was integrated or not. When I moved on to another organization, I was talking about the term scalability. When I talk about scalability, it is, can I send 1 billion message? Can I send 10 billion message? That is the kind of scale I was looking at. My problem shifts every day, and that is what a MarTech stack is. The problem is defined by what my PNL is looking at. If it is looking at the tech challenges, then we can come to the integration and parts, or make changing my entire stack even. If it comes to my business problem where scalability has to be mellowed down, or it has to be ensured, that's the second kind of problem. Third is very, very important. If my marketeers, do they want to do they want to reduce their effort in making and orchestrating the campaign? Is that the objective? Because I don't want to spend huge on my manpower. My MarTech stack is already there. Can I use AI? So that's a third question which I asked. So it is probably the direction. Every company will have a, we are talking about personalization. Every company will have a different personalization for their MarTech stack. That's what my view is.
Fantastic. I think you've touched upon a very important point, right? Are we still playing catch up in terms of our MarTech stack, or are we really identifying those business problems that we need to solve? So, Dilpreet, coming to you, what is the business use cases that you're looking at now in terms of solving from a MarTech standpoint now that you have deployed a full stack approach?
So taking from Antriksh and Chirantan, so I will like one of the thing which is very prominent is that you should not only be focusing on I think having a full-fledged stack unless and until you don't require that thing. Because I think like one of the biggest mistake which most of the brands are doing is just kind of blindly following the league in terms of if my competition is having a stack, then I would also be needing that thing. I think like that is a kind of a biggest pitfall which would be there. Second is also like we are living in a era wherein customer journeys do not come into the picture anymore. Like irrespective of whatever I think journeys we will be creating, so customers would be having their own journeys which will come over the period of time. So I think like more than the customer journey, it has to be a kind of a I would say a customer life cycle management which needs to be there. And so I heard it somewhere. So like there is something called a kind of a ACT framework, ACT. So where it says about like you need to kind of align your strategy with the your business purpose and the values which you are having. That is one. Second is like you really need to kind of create those moments of joy and moments of value, because like coming from the hospitality industry, this plays a very important role for us. And last is like again the end mile delivery which happens from the people. So you really need to kind of transform that internal culture which would be there, where people are empowered enough to by leveraging on the technology and the martech, they are able to kind of give that wow experience to the consumer. Now coming to a specific example, I believe like we built a kind of a loyalty and engagement engine which was based on certain real use cases, like I would say the enabling of the instant gratification and improving the recommendation and the upsell precision which was there, and like giving our teams that kind of data. So like they were actually able to kind of act on that thing in a very almost a near real time basis, and it really kind of worked in our favor. And not only the customer was delighted. Second thing was also like it was a kind of a incremental revenue generation at our end. So yeah, that's the use case which I would like to suggest.
You touched upon customer lifecycle management. I want to come back to that. Has MarTech really enabled the entire marketing function to become more autonomous, in the sense that it's not a marketer always driving campaigns and driving things from their end, but certain things can be a closed loop between the tech and the customer? Signal is created and campaign is triggered. Is that the reality we are living in today, or is that something that we are aspiring to?
I believe like when we are talking about the AI part, which is there, so again, there has been a lot of talks about AI and the like some call them in a kind of a bubble, or some call them in a kind of a buzz, which is there. But I think like unfortunately, most of the brands, as I said, that they are just kind of following the leak without understanding the AI. Because like I always say that thing that AI drives AI, which means the actual intelligence will drive the artificial intelligence. So unless and until you are not having a end result in mind, irrespective of whatever I would say technology or the tech stack you are using, you will not be able to kind of get more out of that thing. And moreover, when uh, we are talking about this AI, so to me, it's a kind of a I would say intersection between the data technology and the content part, which is there. And when you're talking about the real-time AI enhancement, so I think like if we really want to kind of give a wow experience to your consumer, you just need to kind of simplify the complexities and deliver a kind of a value-driven interactions for that. Now, when I'm talking about, let's say, a traditional industry like hospitality. So here, and I will not shy away from the fact that we are the late adopters of this technology, which is there, because it has been a kind of a very, it still is a human-centric industry, wherein like what we call is it's a kind of a by the people for the people. So it is there. And like if I just talk about some of the use cases here, like how because also the thing is like when you are dealing with the humans, so simplicity and empathy plays a very important role. So like these are some of the tenets which are there. So like again, some examples could be like when you are kind of doing your marketing campaigns and also like the level of segmentation which you want to do. So like if you're able to kind of give a brief understanding to the tech stack, okay, so like these are the kind of people I want to target, and what kind of data is available. So like it will be able to kind of read the data for you and do a kind of a AI powered segmentation that would be there. Second thing is like also like in terms of the conversational marketing, which needs to be there. So the smart chatbots are a prime example of that thing. And last part is like since it's a very ops driven industry. So like again, operationalizing and optimizing the operation. So that will play a very important role where tech stack is definitely will come to your rescue.
Absolutely. AI has been touted as this co-pilot in the marketeer's journey, right? And Antriksh,
Yeah.
coming to you, when you think MarTech next, is AI what comes to mind and which form of AI? Because there's not just one AI, there's productized AI in terms of LLMs and chatbots, in terms of generative AI, in terms of predictive models, algorithms, right? So what really excites you?
I remember my first experiment with AI. I was trying to do a personalization, one-to-one personalization for my customers, and I wanted to the SMS to be a little funny. I wanted to use English, and I wrote it, and the AI responded ChatGPT itself that "Are lelo, FD lelo," something on those lines. Obviously, this is a kind of experience I cannot sell to my customer. We are not, we are banking. We bankers are known as trust, so I could not sell that. Moving down the line, what I have felt it that AI can help us figure out a way to reduce the operational workload. For example, today, if I want to make a CLCM, I can just write 50 steps on a notepad, paste it, make that CLCM and optimize it, right? And this is already being done by few of the marketing automations, Clever Tap, Mo Engage, Web Engage. I think Smart Tech is also doing it. The giants of the market, which includes Adobe, Salesforce, etc., are yet to evolve and adopt to it. I'm not sure if they have done till now, but again, that becomes a very critical pain point that the day's work is reduced to in hours work where I just have to check the flow and I'm done with it. The other area which I feel is the layer on top of MarTech, which is essentially the heart of MarTech, is the data layer. Now, AI is extremely good at data, and that is where I wanted to pursue. Uh, how do I get those insights or those flexion point where I can hit my customer to have that Dilpreet word act or have a wow moment. I mean, that's how it is. If I get that data inside, then I can plug that seamlessly into MarTech and send a communication out or make a event based trigger. What I cannot do right now is because one-to-one personalization is not possible. One, it is costly. Every call costs me. Two, how do I ensure that the guardrails are being met? The example which I gave earlier, even if I could have reformed, how do I ensure that one-to-one personalization will not bum customer out or will not do it? So that is clearly an area of efficiency, but I believe 100% that AI is here to stay, at least in terms of the operational workload and creating ease for marketeers next.
Fantastic. So let me come to Chirantan with the same question, right? MarTech
Yeah.
next. Is it AI that comes to mind? And which form of AI, if AI is something that can change the game?
Varun, I'll talk a little bit about the MarTech stacks that we have right now. So we touched upon this a bit earlier, but I think right now the word which comes to our mind is, single word, composability. So right now there is a need that the stacks are built agile and modular. Like we started the conversation also. If I have to, bring a new MarTech solution in my, organization, it's and replace the existing one. It's like a tooth extraction, kind of a work. It takes a lot of time. So that's where we are right now. The stacks have to be agile, and then it can be plugged in and plugged out. So that is part one. I think what I feel right now is very important. When we talk about AI, so at the end of the day, it has to solve some problem. If there is no problem, uh, what is the use of over engineering and over cleverness around this? So few examples I can give you from my organization. Uh, and before that, a little bit about how we think about this entire AI right now. So there are a lot of areas from where we can collect data from the customer. One is the customer interaction that they do with us. One is their profile. One is their past orders. Right, that there are 5 or 6 areas from where you collect the data. We have to make a unified knowledge graph. So everything has to come into the center, and then for each customers, there are, insights which keeps on getting generated. Once you have this, then you can have multiple solutions, either around, chatbots answering the queries or giving the personal recommendations, etc. So the most critical part is how to make this unified knowledge graph. If you don't have that, then I think AI will not be possible. That being said, now first step is okay, solve the repetitive, boring stuff which everybody does but takes time. AI can do it fast. Like a customer is calling me or my agent and asking where is my order. What typically an agent will do? Agent will look at the portal or the CRM and answer to the customer that it's on the way or it will reach in 2 hours. So what is the value add that agent is doing? Nothing. That agent cannot reduce the time. These kind of jobs AI can do wonderfully, and they will not get bored. They will not get angry also, and they will do it quickly. Second is, once you have customer profiling, past data, etc., and over a period of time, you can do a lot of product recommendation. That is the second part. The third layer, which I feel is which can really create magic, is like emergent AI in that manner. So just imagine that in our case, there are, millions of customers sending gifts. And when they send the gift, they write a message to their loved ones. We are not able to see that. It's a hash data. Okay. We are not allowed to see that. But I'm just saying that if you remove the customer name, make the data headless, let AI read all that and come up with some suggestions, which can be like, let me just give you a simple example. If all those are read and AI suggests that, okay, this occasion, this gift is meant for a mother and she's first time mother, because that can only be written, or it can suggest that these set of people are actually sending gifts every month. That means they are romantic couples celebrating their monthly anniversaries, so all these can only emerge when we have this data, and over a period of time it learns. So yes, that's the future, and lastly, what even Antriksh and Dilpreet also talked about, if you really ask the dream of any marketeer, we have thousands of segments, thousands of segments. And the best segment is if the segment count is one person, one segment. Because at the end of the day, every person is different. No matter what you try to, bucket them in whatever sense. And that part humans can't do because the data is so huge. If you reach to that level, when, each agent is assigned to each customer, and it's like a one-to-one relationship, then it's that's the wonderful thing that you can do. That's the best you can do.
Fantastic. This is a great, I think, what do you call, futuristic idea of what is possible. I want to come to Dilpreet and also talk about, you said that there's a huge operational team that works in coordination with tech. And I think India as a market, tech is always an enablement game. It's not completely taking over the whole system, right? Looking at that, what really excites you of the possibilities between MarTech and then human operational kind of elements? How do those coexist and how that can really deliver value to customers?
So I believe, like, firstly, the both go hand in hand, and like when it comes to, I would say, the AI-led transformation, which would be there. So, like, again, a lot of things are required on that front also, where you really need to kind of strike a balance between, I would say, consumerism and commercialism. So that these are the two factors with most of the brands are kind of working on. So you need to kind of strike a balance between these two. That is one. Second is also like, today, like when you're talking about kind of breaking the silos in terms of the data sources, which are multiple in nature. So like, again, you need to kind of work on something called a kind of a intelligent integration, wherein you really need to kind of blend all the technology along with the data sources which are there, and the kind of emotions and the content which you really want to kind of take out in the market for your consumers, which would be there. One of the biggest thing which is still, I would say, either you call it a kind of a gray area or maybe a kind of an opportunity area which is there, that is primarily kind of adding of the emotional intelligence to your tech stack. So today, when everyone is talking about the artificial intelligence, like, I think emotions is something which is kind of taking a back seat. So like understanding your consumer sentiments during all the interaction, because in our case, I think like unlike other industries, we don't have to kind of wait for 24 hours or 48 hours to kind of get the reviews or get the feedback from the consumer. So like there are multiple touch points where the frontline staff is kind of interacting with the consumers, and they're only or they are getting the kind of real time feedback from them. So like it now completely it's based on their judgment what they have to do. And like I think empowerment plays a very important role if you are able to kind of empower your frontline staff and the backend teams which is there. So I think like definitely that's going to work in the favor of brand also and the consumer also.
Fantastic. Adding the emotional intelligence to the tech stack is a key point. I think if you think like an engineer, you think consumer wants to get to point A to point B as fast as possible. But as marketeers, sometimes those midpoints, that a pleasure of discovery, the pleasure of comparing and finding the best option is also an important aspect of the consumer journey, right? So Antriksh, coming to you, like you said, MarTech will now help you finish your day's work in an hour, maybe, right? What do you do with the rest of the day? Are you then compelled to then run 10 more campaigns during the day to justify that time when as a marketeer, it's not in the best interest of the consumer to kind of do that? How do you
So
rationalize
see,
these two things?
marketeers will always be there. They cannot be avoided. I'll tell you why. The reason is simple. Data latency and silos are still, I mean, at least for all of us in this chat room, there will be data latency and silos issue. AI decisioning will never be universally trusted, at least for 5-6 years. I think I should be. The cost is prohibitive. The marketing control has to be there for brand tone, for compliance, and for experimentation, especially for entities like F&P, or a hotel industry, or a tech or a banking industry. You can't avoid it. AI cannot take decisions for you. That you have to teach, or maybe you have to work alongside AI. So the question is that you are going to replace? No, it is only going to ease out the work which is happening, and never the reverse way that AI will take over human and work accordingly. So that's how it is gonna play out from here on. You cannot tell what is the inflection point. AI cannot be localized to take care of the marketing. What is the insight which is populating inside the companies in those boardrooms, and you have to follow it down, right? So it is very difficult to get every nuance without a human into picture and marry them all.
Absolutely.
Varun, just to add what
Yes, please.
Antriksh just said, I mean, there is a very thin line between, personalization and making the customer feel creepy about, you know, So I remember this Target case. I'm sure you must be aware that
Absolutely.
a family started receiving promotion for maternity-related products, and the family was surprised that why they are getting this because their daughter was like surfing on the website regarding that. So it's like kind of creepy for the parents to come to know from a marketing brand that their daughter is pregnant. So that's the line. I mean, so how much personalization is healthy is, we always have to understand, and yeah, humans have to take that call. Humans definitely have to take that call, and they have to, put that line correctly.
No, absolutely. This is the emotional intelligence, or this is the common sense
Common
that
sense.
I think humans and marketeers will continue to bring to the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
table. But I think that's a great place to end this conversation. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts. It's been great chatting with you on what's next in MarTech for 2025. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Varun.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks,
you, everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Varun.
So that's it, folks. You heard from our esteemed MarTech leaders that MarTech is not just going to be about technological innovation, it's also going to be about common sense, human intelligence, and actually understanding what moves the business needle in terms of meeting customer expectations and solving the business problems. That's all we have for this session. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for joining.